Hi everyone. Sorry I wasn't able to release a video last weekend. I have been struggling with hives flare-ups on my face. Like my whole face and my neck flares up. It gets really red and swollen and itchy and burning. And it's really horrible. And I'm trying to figure it out, trying to figure out what's happening. Still haven't, but hopefully we can get this figured out and I'll feel better. That happened again yesterday, and I'm still a little swollen. My eye is still a little swollen under here. So, um, it still tingles a little bit, but I feel better, at least to film. Anyway, today I want to talk to you about a podcast that I listened to a few days ago, and it is the Diary of CEO, and they were talking about this report called the Lost Boys Report. And if you don't know what this is about how men are struggling to find stable work, to date and be in relationship. They're struggling in education, and just all around having a hard time. And I have to admit that I had a little bit of trouble finding compassion for men at first when I started listening to this podcast, and I almost turned it off because I was like, boo-hoo, poor men, not getting everything they need and want, where women have been in this experience for many, many, many years. But I had to take a look at that way of being and talk to myself and be like, you are here to be loving and to create love. And to create a new earth, we need to be coexisting together. So we need to have compassion for one another, which is a lot of what the Arcturians shared because I wanted to find out the Arcturians' take on how do we support men in this society today. But just to give you, I'm looking at my phone because I forget facts and I just didn't want to forget anything. But I wanted to give you a few reasons why men are struggling right now. 25% of young boys are being raised without a father present. And also at school, it is mostly women teachers. So even at school, they're not around a male role model, or many don't have a male role model. And apparently, this is very hard on our boys. They end up depressed, they end up in criminal activity and incarcerated when they do not have a role model that is male present. Hold on. So, what was interesting too is they did say that, and this was their words, not mine, that boys are weaker, males are weaker in terms of resilience when not having a male role model. Women or girls can come out of that actually quite fine and pretty resilient and build a strong future for themselves. Boys, not so much. Um, Another thing is that they're getting rid of vocational training. So boys don't have something to step into that is going to provide stable work for them. If you are not somebody, which is mostly the majority of our boys, are not the driven, brilliant, extraordinarily remarkable genius that's going to create some sort of tech company or become a millionaire in this genre that is very popular right now, then where do they go? What do they do? So there is struggle here in this realm of finding stable work and being an average Joe that just wants to provide and support for their family without having to be a high driven crazy millionaire genius man, you know? They are also feeling a struggle in how to approach women and how to date, and many are single or finding themselves not in relationship. And when men are not in relationship, apparently they tend to isolate themselves and they play more video games and they drink more, they fall into addictions easily. They just stay at home and become a couch potato, feeling like a failure or a loser because they're not in a relationship, they're not making good money. Um, Women, on the other hand, when we are not in relationship, we we kind of thrive. We focus on our friendships, we focus on our self-care and our routines and our careers. So it's very different here. Men who are in relationship with women tend to find that women are their guardrails. Women can sort of like, not that we mother them, or not, I'm not suggesting or recommending we mother a man, but we're the guardrails that kind of is the nourishing container for a man to feel secure, to do, uh, to thrive, right? To support. So these were just some of the things they brought up in this podcast, and I was very interested in asking the Arcturians, like, how do we support men during this time? How do we thrive together? How do we use both of our strengths together? And the Arcturians answered that. So if you are interested in hearing what they had to say on this topic, here are the Arcturians.
Well, guys, I am using a new microphone system, and for whatever reason, the channeling did not get picked up. The audio for the channeling didn't get picked up. So I really apologize, and I know I'll probably lose a lot of you for this format that I'm about to do, which is to show you that I did channel and I did film it. I just didn't get the audio. So what I'm going to do is just sort of do a voiceover while you watch the channeling, and I'm going to do my best to try and remember what the Arcturians said about how to support men in this time. And the first thing I remember them saying, and what I saw visually as my eyes were closed, was the word hate, which I thought was really interesting for them to use that word and to show that word. And what they said was basically that we needed to, as women, to support men in this time and during this transition on the earth, that in order to create something new with each other, we had to let go of our past stories about men. And they were very compassionate and understanding, and did bring up that for many women, we have had a lived experience where we didn't feel safe with men or engaging with men. That oftentimes, because men are very concerned about power and are greedy and want control, that, and again, and I'm saying this as a general, they even said historically, they kept saying this word, historically, this is what men have been concerned with. So if a man is concerned with power and greed and control, then our lived experience as women, of course, is going to keep coming up as being protective, being defensive, being on the watch out, being hyper vigilant. Yeah. And so the word that I thought was, I still think it's so interesting that the word hate is what came up, is because a lot of times that protective armor comes up as hate towards men, hate towards the patriarchy, this type of thing, this energy of hate. That's what they said, the energy of hate. So they were saying we need to allow ourselves to step back from past stories so that we don't bring these stories, negative experience stories, into our present moment and into our future. And they also said that this was not, that this is something we need to do in general in our life, around every moment and every new moment created as a brand new moment. But because we are speaking on the topic of men, that we needed to set our past experiences aside and be available for a new moment to be created with the individual who's in front of us, giving them the opportunity to be something new also, so that we are not recreating a past experience, but rather we are there together to create a new experience. Obviously, always being aware of our own safety, and if we need to exit a moment, we can do that for our own safety. The second thing that they brought up was the word groundedness, grounding. And they went into the idea of grounding for both the masculine side and the feminine side. They described how we both have gifts in grounding. So I found this interesting too. And also, they did mention that this is not about gender. So this isn't about male and female, that everybody holds masculine energy and feminine energy within them, including God's source, they said. However, when we are in a society that is holding men and female energies in a very binary way, masculine grounded energy in males is typically shown in a way of being able to create a strong, firm foundation, a container for something to be held, a container for something to be built on. So this is what I feel males are missing right now, is providing a strong foundation for something to be built on. And females, or feminine energy, groundedness, comes in the form of nourishment, comes in the form of an intuitive knowing, an intuitive nurturing presence in order for something to be built. So what's interesting about this is I've maybe seen and heard of feminine energy really thriving in a very balanced relationship, let's say, when there's a masculine energy there, or a masculine container to hold the nourishment and hold the intuition and hold the nurturing service of feminine energy. And that masculine energy thrives in the container that feminine energy provides, which is nourishment and nurturing, yeah? And so what the Arcturians said was that these two divine energies are meant to thrive together, and we are meant to interact and interrelate and find balance with one another so that we can thrive together in creating something together. So they spoke to this energy of pushing males away right now, that females are finding empowerment in, and saying, I don't need a man, I don't need your masculine energy. And what the Arcturians wanted to remind us of was to be very discerning around the energy of hate and the energy of pushing masculinity away, and to find compassion and love, again, in putting our past experience behind us so we can create newly, and not put past experience onto a new person that's right in front of us in this new now moment. And also remembering that we both bring something to the table when we are in balance, and when we are encouraging each other's gifts. and that this is what we are going to need to do in order to make sure that we both thrive in this new society that we are currently building. It's going to be a bumpy ride, they said, as we adjust to the new energies. And that's what we're in right now. We're in a bumpiness of figuring out what's next from here. We don't want men to have all the power because they tend to turn it into control. We also don't want women to have all the power because we do need a strong foundation and a strong container to thrive in. So we need to find this beautiful balance where both energies exist. Both energies are supported, both energies are heard, and both energies are built in compassion and collaboration with one another, where we both get to thrive. And we are headed there. We are headed there. But it's going to be a bit bumpy as we settle into a new paradigm. So I know that I'm not remembering everything that the Arcturians said, and I know that I'm definitely not saying it as eloquently or as articulate as they did, but I did the best I could with what I could under this circumstance, and I hope that it still offered something of of importance and guidance to you today.
Thank you for being here, and I hope you have a beautiful weekend. I hope to see you next Saturday. But before I go, I'm considering doing a live Q&A with the Arcturians. So I think that I could do a live Q&A where I choose two people to channel a question for. So let me know if you're interested in doing that, and maybe we will do that in May. All right, have a great weekend. Bye-bye.